We're starting the morning out here with Council President Nick Church and Angel Wassey is with us.
Good morning.
And the first segment we're going to do is with Nick because there's a lot of stuff going on with the city. And then Angel's going to you're going to stick around and do some publishing, right?
I don't have to work today.
You're off today?
Off today.
Because of the federal holiday.
Yes.
Must be nice.
And she came in on
It is.
her day off. Nick, you sponsored, I think you sponsored the senior Valentine party at
Yes.
Seniors Together. How'd it go?
That was really nice.
Was it?
It was nice. Passed out 30 yellow roses and 30 boxes of candy.
Really?
And 28 of them went to women, and I passed out the roses to the women, and Mary, the director, passed the yellow roses and candy out to the men.
Okay.
Then we had a party and we had a cake and whatever, and it went really well. And it's neat to see them smile. It was really neat.
Sure.
You know, the seniors, and they were truly grateful. They were looking down the hallway to see if I was coming. They go, "Here he comes! Here he comes!"
Did you had a good turnout then?
Oh yes, real good turnout. I had over 30 people there.
Good for you.
And usually it's in the 20s, but they heard Nick was coming, so
Yeah. They knew you'd be bringing them.
it was nice. It was really great.
Now, you know, I couldn't believe it. I read the story in the papers. 50th year anniversary for Luke Johns. I had no idea that it's been that long. I didn't know.
Me either. I was really surprised when I got an invitation to go from Luke John Metals, and went Saturday. The place was packed. It was packed. It was most of the council people were there. I brought a proclamation from the city, and I met the owners, and I met Mom. Brother and sister own it.
Right.
And Mom is just, Natalie, I believe her name is, really a super lady, really nice. Talked to them extensively, and but they had all kinds of refreshment. There was people everywhere. They had workers there that were putting on demonstrations. They had workers there that were escorting you around throughout the building and whatever may be, and they had it all set up so, you know, no one wandered off, and there was caution tape, and stayed between the yellow lines, and but they were truly grateful and just super nice people.
How many people they employ? Do you know?
I asked the owners that. I said how many they had, and I believe they said they had in excess of 150.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I
Paper, I think it said 125, but I had asked them Saturday, and they said 150.
Very nice story in the paper on that.
And they said this year was, 2013 was a very good year for them, and for a while they had to cut back because of the economy like everywhere else.
Yeah.
And they had to take away bonuses and whatever, but the one gentleman who took us around, one of the workers, says that, I mean, everybody was just like happy that they worked there.
Yeah.
I don't care who you talk to, one of the workers, but they said they brought back the bonuses.
Good.
They got bonuses this year.
Good.
And they thought, wow, you know, so it's a really good company.
By the way, thanks for the coffee.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm sharing with Angel because
Yes, thank you.
Angel got into a 5-day-old coffee house.
Yes. Good morning to Angel from Conneaut AML.
Yeah, because she says, "Oh, they got coffee," and I said, "Come on, Pat didn't make coffee."
And I said all the times I've been on, there's never been coffee.
Penny made that Thursday, and it never. And Andy's been off. He's the only one who makes coffee anymore. So you took a big slug of Thursday coffee.
Delicious.
It was nice and cold.
Conneaut AML coffee.
Usually I bring donuts too when I'm on for quite a while, but
I don't need donuts. I need coffee.
Today's Monday, and I think they're closed.
They're closed on Mondays.
So, you know.
Oh yeah.
Thank you
they're closed on
anyway.
Monday.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, you did a ride-along, from what I understand.
I do ride-along. I try to do 2 ride-alongs a month
Okay.
with the police, and I don't do it to see what the police are doing, you know, their job, because I don't know what their job is. I like to go and see where the bad places are, where our good places are, and I get to see the city. You know, I used to do that 10 years ago when I was president of council.
What time do you? I mean, when you go late at
I
night?
usually go second shift.
Second shift.
Yeah, 3 to 11.
Okay.
But
You go the whole shift?
I usually do 5 or 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, very professional. Both the 2 different police officers that I rode with are very, very professional. Very, I mean, we chase some bad guys and whatever, and blood gets to pumping, and and they turn the lights on and whatever. So yeah, I kind of like.
We used to do that back in the News Herald days, years in the 70s. But it seemed to me we had to have a signed slip because if they get in a wreck or something.
Absolutely, that's the first thing I signed. The chief wrote it down and I signed it, and it's good.
Yeah.
But I get to, like I say, I get to see where the junk cars are and the bad houses and whatever, and I carry a little notepad and I jot them down as I go along, and
just to keep up with things.
Keep up with things, absolutely.
There is no council meeting tonight. Today is, as I mentioned earlier, is President's Day, a federal holiday. Everything is closed, basically, governmental-wise. There's no postal service today or anything like that. And the finance and ordinance and work session will be tomorrow night, right, Nick?
Yes.
At 6 p.m. in council chambers at City Hall. And there's some interesting things on here that I wanted to ask you about. Skateboard park.
Well, let me tell you what's going on. The old council said do away with it.
Right.
Okay. So the new council is trying to look at ways to possibly use it. Thought about here a couple weeks ago to turn it into an impound lot, police impound lot, only for vehicles that have been used in a crime. It's not going to become a junkyard or whatever. Talking with the police, it would only be probably 6 or 7 cars at the most. So we checked into that, and it's not going to work. I believe Mr. Arcaro talked to the chief of police, and we'd have to move cameras there that are currently already set up, and a multitude of other things. So then it was brought up about possibly turning it into a basketball court.
Yep, I heard that.
I mean, the fence is already there. It's a perfectly good fence. We hate to see tear it down, and see if we could use it for something. So that's kind of like we're kind of like talking about that. What do we want to do before we make the final decision?
Right.
We don't want it to become like the skate park did. It became a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Indeed, it did too.
Yeah, and if we put a basketball court there, what's going to happen? Because the people that bought that house next door that are rehabbing it, you're probably within 10 or 15 feet of their house. Do we want to do that to those people? So it's kind of up in the air, and we're looking at it. So we don't know what we'll do with that.
You also have unsightly property ordinance that you're going to be discussing. Is that the same one that we've had before? Or?
Well, no, this is unsightly property. I brought this up at our last work session, and there's property in town where we're talking about basically porches that are not enclosed. You drive around this town and you see refrigerators and recliners, and inside, that's supposed to be inside, outside, sitting on a porch.
Right.
Trash bags stacked up on the front.
Right.
That makes our city look bad. So there's no ordinance that deals with that stuff. So we're looking at that.
Okay.
But yeah, you can drive down Route 20 coming into our city, and there's stuff stacked up on the front porch.
I don't understand that.
I don't either. And so we're trying to get. I'm trying to get stuff in place because I took over the downtown revitalization and community cleanup.
And you had your first meeting on that.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to get stuff in place before spring comes. So when spring comes, we'll be able to attack the problem of making our community look better.
What do you plan on doing? I mean, you're gonna have a team of people.
Well, what I've done on the first meeting we had on the 5th of February, I had the city manager there. I had our law director there. I had the police chief, the fire chief, the zoning inspector at the meeting, and Doug Hedrick was there, Mr. Kozeski was there, and John Roach were there. And I passed out lists to those one of several lists that will probably happen in the near future, but this is to just start the thing of looking at houses that need to be painted, houses that have broken windows, houses that have blighted property, junk cars, possible junk cars that are sitting around. Of course, it is for them to determine, the department heads, whether or not they are junk cars, whether the property does meet or does not meet, you know, our property code, and commercial buildings. Fire chief to deal with commercial buildings in town, and there are probably 9 or 10 or 11 commercial buildings are in question that need to be painted or fixed or whatever. Some right downtown, in the center of town. You know, our north side, the south side of Main Street looks pretty good. The north side of town, especially between Washington and Broad Street, that building I believe that you guys were talking about this morning, the old Pelton building, it looks pretty bad in the front and even looks worse in the back. So there is a international property housing code for that, just like there is for housing. So we're going to look into, on the 5th of March, we're going to have a follow-up, and they're going to explain to me, the fire chief, the housing and zoning, and the police chief, what their plan of action is going to be to start dealing with this.
What about the buildings east of that? That would be behind
The bunkhouse?
Bunkhouse, yeah.
The bunkhouse belongs to the state. The state took it over.
Oh, they did?
They took it over, I understand, for back taxes.
Okay.
So it belongs to the state. It doesn't belong to the owners. And you know who owned it before, and I do too. They confiscated it and they've taken it back, so it belongs to the state. So now we got to work with the state to find out what they're going to do with it.
Right.
So we can't touch it. Okay, I understand it's still up for sale. Who's going to buy it, I don't know, but I understand there's holes in the roof and in really bad shape. And it makes our town look bad. But that's the fact of the matter is, it's now owned by the state.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. Excuse me.
There was a water line break, bad one, I guess.
Yes.
So over on Lake Road in Chestnut,
Saturday.
we went down there Saturday. Did they get that fixed?
Yes, they got it fixed. Now I have to thank Tim Church. Tim Church was driving by Saturday morning at about 6:40, 7:40, I think it was.
7:45.
And he called me, and I looked and at my phone, and I was drinking coffee, and he goes, "There's water gushing on Lake Road by Chestnut Street." And he goes, "I'm on my way to Asheville," and he goes, "But it's pouring out."
No
So I
kidding.
thank Tim for calling, Tim Church calling, and then I called the city manager and told him. And
Oh, when we went down there, and it was in the afternoon,
Yeah.
it was like a lot of heavy equipment.
it was so bad. I understand that it was so bad. The frost is so deep. I understand it's over 3 foot deep now. That they had to call someone else. My understanding was they had to call someone else with a jackhammer at the end of their backhoe or whatever. It was, the ground was so hard.
I believe it, but 3 foot, is it that
Yes.
low?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Just got this in. This is not good. From Cleveland Weather. They're calling for 28 degrees, windy conditions tonight as we go into a winter weather advisory at 7 p.m. We'll go until 7 a.m. They are calling for snow, 100%, and 4 to 6 inches possible, and possibly mixed with sleet and freezing rain. So that doesn't look good on your trip tomorrow to work.
I know. Unbelievable.
Wow. Nick, some other things going on here. I'm just looking at your agenda here. Street paving.
We haven't looked at the streets yet. We'll probably, I think we're going to start paving probably the end of June, beginning of July. We haven't seen, the new council hasn't seen the streets list from the city manager yet, and we have requested that the city manager produce a list of the streets so council can view and we can talk about it.
Yeah, because he said he was going to do that.
Yeah, and we asked for it the last work session, so that's supposed to be, you're supposed to have it tomorrow night. One thing I like to bring up too, back up here at West Jackson Street and Woodworth Road closure.
Yeah, yes.
If you remember right, the first time I was on in January, I had a gentleman call in and we were talking about how people are throwing tires, and he was going out there and picking them up himself and so on and so forth. So I put that on the agenda and we've been talking about that. We have two places in town that are really bad. One is West Jackson Street, over by where the Roundhouse used to be, and Woodworth Road. So we've been kind of like working on that, and some of the ideas that have come up. West Jackson Street, we're thinking about closing it off at Commerce, which is, I think there's 5 houses on West Jackson. I used to live on West Jackson. There's Commerce Street, and then it starts to go back to where the Roundhouse used to be, all the way back to the print craft. And I think Mr. Lagaza has got a building back there too. So we're thinking about somehow blocking that off, or whether we have a gate built at both places. The city manager's supposed to be checking with Mr. Lagaza to see, you know, if he has a problem with us blocking that off. Because you can drive back there and there's sofas back there now, and you know, it was a problem 10 years ago when I was president of the council. So here we are 10 years later and we're still dealing with the same things, and we need to stop doing that. But we just keep going around in a circle. On Woodworth Road, we're thinking about blocking it off in the wintertime. We can't block it off during the spring and summer because boaters go back there, and there's a launch ramp and whatever. Now I understand there used to be cameras at the CS, one of the railroads had cameras back there. Well, since they have cut back, there's no one sitting there watching the cameras in a building anymore on TV monitors. Because we talked about that too, and several people had brought that up to me, had called me and told me about that. When I got to checking, they don't use those cameras anymore.
Okay.
So we're thinking about at least blocking it off in the wintertime. Probably.
Where would you block it at? Past Smiles' house?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I want to block it off at least far enough where people can't drive all the way down to where it's blocked off and then throw their stuff off and nobody see them. So, you know, we're looking at that too.
I was just, the other day, and I guess it's because in the summertime you can't see a lot of these tires and stuff, but I was standing here in our parking lot, and over in the next property over, tons of tires over there, but I think that might be in Pennsylvania. It might be across the line.
Yeah, that building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Pennsylvania, I think.
Well, isn't our, where's our, back this way? Where's our Innovation Boulevard, our compost site?
Down that
That way.
Okay, that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, it's like right on the cusp of the Pennsylvania.
It's unbelievable, the trash, the people, they take, I mean, I'm kind of like against these, over by Perkins, says drop off clothes.
Right.
Clothes and shoes, there's toilets, used toilets, there's sofas, there's, you name it, sitting there right on Route 20, and I'm just appalled.
Yeah.
Well, I think the purpose of those, and I'm not trying to start a debate here, I think the purpose of those is to help the needy, which,
Yes.
But I think that people in Conneaut need to get some brains, that you just don't go out and start dumping your sofas and your commodes.
That's what they were doing over on Clark Street. That's
Yes.
why it got lifted.
Yeah.
I think that the purpose is a good thing, and we shouldn't try to get rid of those, but I think that people in this area, I mean, take some pride. I mean, I'm 33, I own property here, take pride.
Because what happens is it ends up becoming the whoever owns that plaza,
It's their responsibility.
it's their responsibility to go take it out now.
Yeah,
And most sofas and love seats, that if you call the Goodwill, they'll come to your house and get it.
they will. They will come and grab it for
And
you.
I don't understand the people that use their porches for filings things. I mean, last summer we put up over $1,000 in railings because the porch looked like a barge. You know, it didn't have railings on it. So we spent the money to have it, the railings put up, and new steps, and we were proud of that. You know, we wanted to have it stained. We did that, and I couldn't do it. I just can't do that. Putting a refrigerator on that porch.
Well, you know, 95% of the people in Conneaut, if not more, take care of their properties. They're very, very proud of their properties, but it's usually the 5%
That don't.
that could care less.
Yeah.
And you drive around through our city, and you look at the city how it used to be, You grew up here, I grew up here,
Mhm.
and somebody will move in, and there'll be nice houses over here and nice houses on this side, and there's this person that just moved in that set their own standards, and the city won't do anything about it. The city does nothing about it. And if you see on there, one of the things, it says new items or concerns, enforcement. People are getting paid, I've said this several times, people are getting paid big bucks at City Hall to do a job to enforce whatever may need to be enforced. And we're going to talk about enforcement, because there's no sense of making new legislation for occupancy permits and grass and unsightly property if you can't enforce it.
Mhm.
We're just talking and there's no action. So we're going to figure out whether, you know, such as our housing and zoning person, if you work Monday through Friday and you don't have anybody on Saturday and Sunday, when is people putting sofas and love seats out on their tree lawn when we're getting a tourist town that's bringing people down Broad Street to the public dock, down to our park, and there they sit. So who enforces it on the weekend?
The Conneaut police did, because I actually had a sofa out on my front yard that had to get hauled, and the guy who was supposed to come haul it didn't come. And he came. Yeah.
So my kind of idea, one of my ideas, is to move the housing and zoning person from maybe not work Monday and Tuesday and work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're driving around
Is
in
it
the
the
car.
weekend when most of this is
Yeah.
violated?
Yeah, especially in the summertime, in the spring.
I'm very fortunate. I live in a neighborhood that everybody keeps their house plowed
Yes.
in that neighborhood, and they're all nice homes. But it doesn't take you too far to go down the road and maybe to another neighborhood, and you start seeing that
Yeah.
happening, and it's bothersome.
Absolutely.
It is bothersome.
I mean, go down to our downtown. It bothers me when I go down to the downtown.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you know, so that's kind of like some of the things that are going on. And
Oh, a little shout out to Matt Crawford, our buddy Matt Crawford. It's his birthday today.
Oh,
well,
happy birthday.
I have to tell you, I seen Matt yesterday.
No.
I'm going to put the word out, a bad word out on Matt.
Uh-oh.
They kind of like snuck him out yesterday,
Oh.
and he was with his brother. He never got out of the, well, I don't think he got out of the vehicle, but I went on that Wing Fest yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And I heard he was sitting out in the vehicle, so I went out there and kind of
Yelled at him.
yelled at him.
He knows better than that. He just got out of back surgery.
Yes, and he said, I'm not moving. And I said, well, good, but you have no business being out here, and Jeanette Spears is doing a wonderful job. And
How did it go? Did they have a good turnout?
I don't know what the final count was. I couldn't make it all the way through the 7 or 8 places. I was so full.
You actually went out around?
Yeah, Jimmy Jones and I, we rode together, and we got 2 wings apiece. He picked two wings, and I picked 2 wings, and I ate one of his, and he ate one of mine, and we did like 6 places. That's 12 wings
Yeah, wow.
apiece.
Mike Stanford at
Yes, I see. No.
he said he is at 38 wings and he had 6 more places to go.
Oh my goodness.
My wife goes, how could he eat 38? Well, he's a big eater, you know.
Well, we ran into him. We ran into him, and ran into the superintendent and several teachers. There was about
Really?
6 or 7 teachers with the superintendent, and they were going from place to place.
Did you have to do the tie-breaking judging?
No, we didn't get called for the tiebreaker,
Okay.
so evidently it wasn't a tiebreaker. But there was, wow, there were some wings, boy, they were good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good wing places
Yes,
around town.
absolutely.
As a matter of fact, in 5 minutes, Jeanette will be here and she's going to award the
Good.
wing.
She did a super job. She stepped up to the plate, and she was a little worried at first when she called me a couple days before that. But yesterday she was all energetic, and
And she was a little concerned at the first.
so what I did was I had her wristband too. And as we went to different places, we got 6 wings, 2 for Jim Jones, 2 for me, and 2 for Jeanette. So when I got back to her yesterday, I had 12 wings for her.
For her?
I had them all marked where they all came from.
Oh,
what the
good.
flavors were.
Good. That was
So
nice.
she could vote if she wanted to too.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was.
We'll find out here. She did put on Facebook it was very successful, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's a good
absolutely.
thing. Looks like you have an executive session tonight, Nick.
Yeah, we're going to have this is the first executive session for this council.
Is it?
Yes. And got some things to deal with personnel, and
Okay, okay. That all taking place tomorrow night, Finance and Ordinance meeting and work session in council chambers at City Hall. It begins at 6. It is open to the public except for the executive session. That is a closed door meeting that they do discuss. They're going to discuss personnel and bunch of other. There's some good things. Of course, work sessions you brought back, Nick. You did not really believe that you could have to do away with them like they did the past council. You felt that you had enough stuff out there that you wanted to go over with.
There's a lot of work to be done,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I mean each council president is different. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. 10 years ago, I had work sessions, and I said if we didn't need them, we don't have to have a council meeting. I don't ever remember canceling a work session.
Debbie said, I talked to Debbie, and she said that in this case, if there's not anything on the agenda,
Sure.
probably you can
Yeah.
slide by.
Same thing.
Yeah.
If we don't need to have one, we won't have one. But as long as there's work to be done and we can put stuff on the agenda, you know, we just combine the finance.
I hate to say, I used to find out more at work sessions than I did at a regular
Sure.
council meeting because you guys discussed in an open forum a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
was going on. Mr. Church. Mr. Church is talking about unsightly front yards and porches, but please ask him about backyards that are unsightly to neighbors who live here in town.
Well, I understand, and I think that the International Property Housing Code is going to cover that.
Okay.
But yeah, there are unsightly, and I've seen them riding along with police. We are going to deal with that too.
But what am I missing here now? In other words, if I go in my back room, my sunroom, and there's an unsightly property in the backyard, you mean, is that what she's...
We're talking about the backyard, not the back porch. I think she's talking about just the backyard,
Backyards.
period.
Yeah.
Because there are some backyards that got some tires and trash bags, and they just open up the back door and throw it out in the backyard, in the back.
Okay.
If people have concerns like that about property, I know a lot of people don't want to report it because they're afraid of retribution. You can call my house. I'm not afraid of retribution. I'll deal with it, and let me know where it's at. Same thing with junk cars. If you think it's a junk car, it's not for me to determine whether it's a junk car. But if it's sitting,
How do you determine?
well, if it doesn't have plates on it, or it has flat tires, it doesn't have a windshield, it's a possible junk car.
Okay.
They got to be registered, so there's
Right.
got to be plates on front and back.
Okay.
And if there's plates on the front, and I think it's a junk car, or somebody else thinks it's a junk car, police can pull up, run that license plate if it's on the front, and tell whether or not it's registered or not registered.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're on the air.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
I wondered what plans Mr. Church has. I know he said that they were going to start paving in June, but I was curious what plans he has for all the cutouts on the street that the city's done, and they're uneven. It's like a washboard going down the street. And I wondered what plans he has to do those perhaps earlier than doing the streets. Because they're not level and they're just really bad.
There are a lot of those ones,
Wondered
yeah.
if he thought about that. Thank you.
Okay.
My thoughts are, do they need to be done? Yes. I don't think, I'll check with the city manager to see what his plans are, and maybe I'll put that on the work session for tonight. But right now, yes, do they need to be done? Are they bad? Yes. And I will add that on, so maybe it'll come out in the paper tomorrow what the plans are or when they plan on doing that. I know there's one on Lake Road, I think there's one on Broad Street, and there's
There's
one
a
on...
couple on Lake Road.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a couple on Lake Road.
And they are bad, but you know, is this the time to do it with all this cold
I don't know
weather?
whether you can do it.
Well, you know, our roads are going to be, they are extremely bad now. And it's going to get worse as it starts to thaw.
Oh yeah, that's right around the corner.
But to try to answer this, I don't have a solution right now, but I will put it on the agenda for tonight, and maybe it'll come out in the paper tomorrow. I don't know.
Well, the meeting's tomorrow,
Yes, tomorrow, I'm sorry.
so
Yeah.
probably Wednesday, maybe Wednesday. We'll find out what that plan is, or you can let us know.
Yeah, but I will do that for the lady.
Hi, you're on the air. You're on the air.
Yeah, Nick.
Hey,
This is Art Spear.
yeah, Art.
Yeah, I was wondering about the water bills. How come we get a bill that's red 1 month and then next month they estimate it?
I don't know, Art. I can't answer that, but I'll get you an answer.
Alrighty.
Is that okay?
I just ask you about that because that company we spent $500,000 on or whatever it was, you know, it was supposed to be red from a car.
Yes.
So I'll let you think about that.
Well, like I said, I'll get you an answer, and I'll either give it to Pat or we'll go from there. But I'll get you an answer.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, Art.
Thanks, Art.
Thanks, Art.
That's a good question.
Yes.
It's a very good question. All right, we're at 8:28, and what we do, we need to take a break, and then we're going to have the announcement. Can you stick around, Nick, for the
Yeah.
wing announcement?
Sure.
And then we're going to find out who won the Wing Fest yesterday. What time do you have to leave? You have another meeting.
Yes. I can leave about 1:45.
1:45? Okay, yeah, we can do that. One more call here. Hi, you're on the air.
I'm curious, when we could get some of these roads paved? Like I live over here on 15th Extension.
15th.
It's like driving through a landmine.
It's like a landmine over there?
It's 15th Extension, 15th
Yep.
Street. These roads been bad since we've been living on here for 5 years and nobody's ever got around to pave it or potholes or anything on this street.
Okay, hopefully they'll get to that street then.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You know, yep.
All right.
Yep, 15th Street is bad extension.
Yeah. Please ask Mr. Church why there was no boil alert with such a large water break. And I was concerned because I didn't know whether that would affect my water down there just a block away,
Yeah.
but it didn't, that I know of. But
I don't know, but I'll ask the question tomorrow.
okay, at the meeting.
Yes,
Okay, good.
I'll put it on the
You're
list.
gonna have a list that you might have to report here back.
That's okay. I've done it before, you know.
Got us going.
Hi, you're on the air.
Good morning, everyone. Lonnie Hudson's calling.
Hi,
Hi,
Lonnie.
Good
Lonnie.
morning.
Nick, my question to you, sir, would be, when I was a lad, we lived down on Wrights Avenue, North Lake Road. One day the city come down and they tarred and chipped that street. And that turned out real well. There was never any potholes or anything on this order. And to my knowledge, that lasted until I graduated from high school. And I was just a freshman in high school at that time. Can you take a look and see what the cost would be, tar and chip our side streets, rather than do the large, blacktop on the streets? That could be a money saver. I would hope it might be. I hope it's something to look at.
Absolutely, Lonnie. We actually have talked about that, not in council yet, but amongst the city manager, myself, and a couple other council people, that we would probably, no doubt, save money tarring and chipping. And I believe that quite a bit of that's going to be done this time around, just to get more streets done, and the cost savings. Because yes, it does cost a lot of money for asphalt. But go ahead.
The nice part is when you put it down, the cars do most of your work.
Yes.
And about a week later, the city came along with this big broom on the front of their tractor, swept the extra stone to the center, and used it elsewhere.
Yes. And I've seen many nice streets throughout the United States that have been tarred and chipped.
Yes, sir. And they seem to hold up well.
Yes.
So, food for thought.
You got it.
Thanks, Lonnie.
You got it,
You
Lonnie.
guys have a good day.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye-bye. It's a good idea. He had some
Good
other
idea.
good ideas too here recently regarding different things. Can't think of them right now, but all right. Just a reminder: there is no council meeting or work session tonight. It is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in council chambers at City Hall. Anything else that you need to cover, Nick?
No, not really.
You got everything down?
Other than, if people got thinking about blighted properties, and like I say, I've got a list. those 3 initial lists, commercial buildings and houses and cars, have gone out to the department heads. If you have a concern about a property, a backyard, or whatever it may be, and you don't want to turn it in because you're afraid of retribution, then you can call me at 593-1045 and leave a message and where the property's at, and I'll go by and look at it.
Okay.
It's not for me to determine whether or not it's blighted or if it's a junk car. That is the department head's job, but I'll definitely go by and look at it.
By the way, you kind of were thrown under the bus a little bit there, Nick.
When?
There was a tie, and you did not respond to the 7 o'clock hour.
To what?
There was
The
a tie
Wings.
in the Wing Fest.
Really?
Yeah.
No one called me?
Well, she said that you didn't want to come out at 7 o'clock.
Really?
Oh,
Right here on the live TV said that.
wow.
Did you really?
Yeah. So Jim Jones came out and covered for you.
Did he really?
Yeah. He picked the second.
He didn't even call me. He was with me all day.
Probably had enough of you or
He-
something.
yeah, I was gonna
don't
say,
know.
he-
He must
He
have
just
been
throw me,
done.
so 2 people threw
Two
me under the
people.
Yeah,
bus.
yeah.
He did that on purpose.
One last phone call for
Go
you,
ahead.
Nick. Hi, you're on the air. You gotta shut your TV down. Okay, call back when you get that under control.
Wow.
I know you gotta go. You have some things to do, a business meeting or something you have to take care of. Thank you for coming in, Nick. I
Sure.
appreciate it. I think with all these questions, I don't know
What?
how you want to handle it.
Well, I'll either email you
Okay.
and tell you what the answers are. If people are watching or no, won't be watching it tomorrow night, but whatever I find out tomorrow night at the work session, I'll email you
Okay.
and tell you what the answers are.
Okay. Good. Good.
And if Art is in the book, I'll call Art. If he's not in the book, then I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay. Do you have time for this phone call?
Whip it on me.
You're on the air.
Yeah, Nick,
Hey, Art.
this is Art Spear again.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to know, why did they put that fire engine that they didn't get to use, or it was broken or something other, and kids have thrown rocks, broke the windows out of it, took the brass fittings off of it. It's sitting behind the old Strong Steam building.
Strong string line. Where's that at?
You know where that's at? In
No.
the dead end part on Sandusky Street?
Okay.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that building. Now, there's trees growing up through that building, this roof.
Is that the one on
I was wondering
the?
why that never gets taken care of.
Is that the one on the? That's hooked onto the Public Works, or by the Public
Yeah.
Works?
Yeah,
Yeah, doesn't have any windows in it and got trees growing out of it and whatever.
yeah,
That's on the list. That's on my list. I turned over to the fire chief on the 5th of February. So that was one of my big questions too. There's that one, the one across from Papes, the white building. That one's on my list. The house or the the bar across from our train depot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Hunter Jacks, the old Hunter Jacks.
The old Hunter Jacks building, and of course the ones that are downtown. Those are all on my list, and we're going to find out. I'm going to find out here shortly what their plan of action is, because I'm against it, and I ran. The main reason I ran was to clean up the town, because it's not getting done, and we're going to go from there, Art. So we're going to see come the 5th of March what their plan of action is from the police, the fire, and our housing and zoning, how we're going to deal with this. So that's all I can tell you right now, but those buildings are on my list, Art.
oh, okay, Nick, yeah, and that fire engine, that's a shame they ruined that.
So you're saying that fire engine is back there in that building?
It's parked there by the fence
Okay.
at the end of Sandusky Street there.
Is that
Vandals have just had their day with it.
Where did that fire engine come from?
That's at the end of Sandusky Street.
Yeah, but where's it? What department did it come from? Is that the one that was the ladder truck?
Yeah,
It was a ladder truck. Okay. All right, he'll check into it, Art.
Okay.
Thanks, Art.
Bye.
Nick.
Bye, Art.
All right, thanks for coming in, Nick.